What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading Investing. We're going to be right now taking a look at the markets, planning ahead for the week ahead. It's a light calendar. Really, we have Thursday. It's an early week next week because of the July 4th holiday in the US. Really, the only important thing to watch out for on the calendar will be Thursday when we have non-farm payroll. Our hourly earnings, how much will it affect the market? How much will it affect the market? Well, we saw in the past, as we were seeing these really big misses, we were seeing the market trade up, knowing that stimulus was coming from the Federal Reserve. That has continued. If we see any big misses, if the data is actually counted more accurately this month and we see a high unemployment number, we could actually see the market start trading up on that because that will mean that more stimulus is coming. Do you watch out for that? I know I am. I want to start over here looking at gold. We're looking at spot gold over here, which is challenging 1769 right now. It's trading at 1,769, challenging the yearly and 8-year highs. If this breaks out to the upside, I want you to see that you could have not only a break of 1800, above 1800, there's no longer too much resistance until we look at 1900 and all-time highs. Gold looks like it is headed towards there. This is the 3-day chart you're looking over here. This is using the True 10 BTC, the 333 period, and you can see just how strong this upward trend is over here right now. Even here on the 8-hour, it's in an upward impulse also on the 8-hour. This looks really good. Let's look at the S&P 500 also on the 8-hour. On the 8-hour, interestingly enough, let me go ahead and highlight this trend line over here, and then I'll talk about where that's coming in. Look, watch this trend line over here as we're coming to possibly breaking down below the trend line that the whole way up, we said whenever we trade below, that's when we're beginning to look at the sellers taking control of the market. Watch what happens if you get across down here next week. If this trend line breaks over here, the trend line's coming in right now at exactly 3,000. Let me zoom in over here since we're on the 8-hour, and I just want you to see, you'll be able to see if this trend line breaks over here at that same exact moment or close to it, you're going to see the new impulse to the downside. This is on the 8-hour over here. This is a big level next week to watch here on the S&P 500. But look at the 3-day time frame just to get yourself a little bit of perspective. You're in a, let me clean that up for you. Let me get rid of these two lines over there, then jump over to the 3-day. And I want you to see, even though that we could have a big move to the downside if this trend line breaks, right? You'll still be looking at this area, call it 2867, the support down in this area over here. You'll still be in an uptrend, a strong uptrend with the true trend. BTC will be firmly green, even in a pullback over to here. If it were to go red, this was crisis. This was crisis situation. If that happens again, obviously, over here where it went red, you could see that on the 3-day here, that's during the crisis, but trading that even on the 8-hour, look at that. Let's just go back over there really quick. You could see it was all the way over here, all the way up at 31.47, where the true trend turned negative over here on the 8-hour, and then you could see this is obviously where we bottomed. So currently, S&P looks like it has the possibility of taking out this trend line coming in right now at around 29.95. If that breaks, let me zoom in for you perhaps. If this breaks over here, right? If we lose the 29.72, the 29.72 support, it looks like that we are coming down first to 29.45 and then perhaps even lower, perhaps all the way down to 28.56. Big week here on the S&Ps. Also watch for this support to hold and for price to go ahead and rebound over here. You could see both the upside and downside are perfectly in play. Let's take a look at, for fun, at the Nasdaq also on the 8-hour, and you could see, let me come down even further. Let me come down and look at, let's say, a 1-hour chart here on the Nasdaq. You could see This week earlier, we went onto a downward negative impulse over here. That was bought up, and now you could see again we're coming down into another one. But if you step back over here, even above 25.65, this is very, 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 very bullish in the short term over here. Stepping back, yeah. As long as you're holding down over here, this last swing low, this is consolidating really nice over here. Nasdaq doesn't look like it's in jeopardy of a leg down. If it does break down over here though, this is a 1 hour chart again next week, you could see that the market's at this really, really important levels. You could see that if this were to trade down over here, this has potential of trading first down into 26.80 and then even further, perhaps down towards 94.20. This could be a big move, but I would be looking here for the Nasdaq also. If it's able to hold this level, it's into an area right now of small support, as is the S&P is riding that very important trend line. Let's try to look on the 4 hour time frame. You could see over here a little more clear the support that we're in right now. That was resistance, that is now support. Let me go ahead and flip that over to green for you just to make sure that our lines are clean. Right, so the price is coming into this support over here. If it's able to hold this, then you'll probably see the S&P also holding that big important trend line it's on over here. And then you could be looking to play a resumption here in this uptrend, a very strong uptrend here on the 4 hour. At the same time, if we do break down over here, we could expect a further extension down towards the 9400 level. So important levels to watch next week, right out of the gate on Monday. We want to check in also with Bitcoin, and looking at Bitcoin, we are seeing Bitcoin is actually holding up pretty well. It's in a negative impulse over here to the downside on the 4 hour. Watch out. Now, we use actually this indicator over here, the True Trend BTC, really for protection against long-term holdings of Bitcoin. And you could see that even right now, we are in an upward impulse. Everyone should continue to feel comfortable about holding their longs. If we are turning out down to the next side, to the downside, towards a negative impulse on the downside, for me personally, it would all be accumulation. It would be strong accumulation phase, knowing that we were gonna, wherever it was, even perhaps as far down around 7,000 more or less, if it was able to firm up into this area of support down over here, all this would be an area for me looking to accumulate over the next 5 months as much Bitcoin as possible, and a down impulse would be the perfect opportunity to do that. It doesn't look like that's happening. I want to show you here. We are looking at 12 hours, a good time frame. We don't need to move anywhere. Just clean up this chart over here. So it looks like right now, though, we continue that upward impulse, right? We have the momentum to the upside. It's having trouble. Bitcoin all month, ever since the halving, has been in this channel over here. This is going back right now to May 5th, and you could see over here, that's been the lower end of the channel, and then over here has been the upper end of the channel, 10,400, that all-important resistance, where price will start the bull market once it breaks out of there. And so Bitcoin has been holding its own, as we've seen. Let's just, for comparison, let's look at the S&P over the same amount of time, and you could see that, well, over the last week or two, S&P is down off its highs, and Bitcoin is going back the same time frame, is really just down, for a little bit in towards the bottom end of the range. If the risk markets turn back on Monday, if we see the S&P hold support, if we see the Nasdaq hold support, we could see over here an upward rise and a test towards the top. If you look at gold, Bitcoin seems to just be almost mimicking gold, but about 7 to 10 days behind. Look over here in this area over here. That's where Bitcoin is right now. If you just kind of focus in on this area of the chart, right? Now watch over on Bitcoin, right? That's where Bitcoin is right now. If it does able to firm up over here, if we see risk actually go on after the weekend, everyone's feeling a little bit frothy, watch over here. Bitcoin could actually be trading up and maybe even headed then towards testing the 10,400 if the risk market, if the S&P, breaks this trend line over here. It's now blue to bring it to your attention. First time using the white charts on the channel. We'll see. But if we break down over here, then Bitcoin could be looking at obviously trading down lower. It could also be looking trading down lower, perhaps even in towards the 8,200 level. We'll see what happens. That's it. That's a look at the markets. Let's actually take a look at the Euro US dollar. I know on Monday, on the live stream together, we're going to be taking a look at all these cross pairs. So there's no need to really do that right now. Today, we're taking a look at the markets on these higher time frames using the 3-day and the 12-hour. Here, looking at the Euro US dollar on the 12-hour, you could still see that bullish momentum shift over here ever since we had the upward impulse is holding and looks pretty good, right? So are these opportunities to be accumulating longs, looking for a resumption upwards? We're eventually going to take out the 1.14 resistance over here and really go ahead on further. If we do break there, it looks like we're heading up much further. Let me put on the 3-day time frame for you. You could see over here this resistance line. Let me actually make that blue over here. And then, all right, let me draw in this trend line for you. You could see that right now on the 3-day, we are still in a negative impulse to the downside. Trend is strong here on the Euro US dollar, coming into pretty strong trend line resistance that's been rejected repeatedly over the last 2 weeks. You could see this line goes back 5 years, this trend line that price is floating around. If it breaks to the upside over here, at that point, we are probably looking at targeting the upper bound of this trend line over here. And that's right now coming in around 1.16. Watch out for that as a strong, as a possibility if price breaks up over here. We see on the 8-hour time frame, we are in an upward impulse. We're in an upward impulse right here. It looks like consolidating right here, nice, on top of the resistance, which last week had trouble. But if that trend line resistance breaks at 1.13348, if that breaks, that then sets up the possibility of really bringing the next outer resistance coming in right now. Well, we'll see if we get there, but we have our target, which would be over there. That also goes back 5 years. It's a big level. If the euro is breaking out towards outside of this to the upside, then we're looking at perhaps much higher numbers on the euro. But right now on the 3-day even, this looks like that this resistance, if it holds, right, this downtrend that we are in could really pick up, and we could be looking over here at a nice rejection in this area of the Euro US dollar. That's going to mean probably more that risk is entering the markets. That means that, again, the S&P has lost that all-important trend line, and that we are looking actually to be, right, here's a look at the S&P and that important trend line. Let me come to the 8-hour time frame for you, where you should be watching it. If we break that trend line over here, that sets up some further risk on moves that might see the Euro US dollar retracing further. If we do go risk on, then obviously we could even see in that environment both not only Bitcoin leading the way to the upside over here, we could see further extensions on gold. And the thing about gold is that even if the dollar is firming up, gold seems to get even firmer. So good news over here for gold holders. Silver not far behind. Everyone, I'll see you all on Monday morning. I hope you had a great weekend. And by the way, smash that like button. Do appreciate your support. Talk to you later.